Hello, my name is St. Thomas Becket. I was about to make the most important decision in England. My decision would decide the fate of all bishops in England. If I said no, then I would most likely be sentenced to death. But if I said yes, then all the bishops would be absolved in England and the church would be weakened. My name is St. Thomas Becket, and this is my story. I was born in 1118 in Cheapside, London, England. I had a very good education that took me many places, and when I was done with my education, I decided that I was going to be a clerk. Soon my father introduced me to a man named Theobald, whom his household I became a part of. Soon I gained his trust and became archdeacon, and then archbishop, and then I was named after the Pope as his legate. Soon, many people hated me because I would not absolve bishops in England. People wanted bishops absolved in England because of their secular crimes, including King Henry II. King Henry II soon decided that he was going to force me to absolve the bishops by force. So he sent 4 knights to track me down. Later, they found me and captured me. They told me to absolve the bishops. I said no, and then they killed me. I was never canonized. Soon after, though, I was recognized as a martyr. My Catholic social teaching is option for the poor and vulnerable. My virtue is courage, and my life skill is initiative. You can follow my example by sticking up for somebody in school and helping somebody.
Go ahead.
Hello, I'm St. Elizabeth of Portugal. I was born in 1271 to King Pedro III. At a young age, I was married to the King Denis of Portugal. He, like much of his court, had unscrupulous values. Ever so, I stayed with him and prayed that one day he would reform his values. He did eventually reform, and we had 2 children, my son Afonso and my daughter Constania. I continued to help the poor and kept myself devoted to God. In 1323, my son Afonso and my husband, King Denis, started a war among each other due to the fact that King Denis showed favors to his illegitimate children. I was able to reconcile them, though, by riding in between their armies on a horse. In 1325, King Denis died, and my son became King Afonso IV. I revoked my title as queen and joined the Covenant Portrays and became a Franciscan, which I originally founded.
Go ahead.
Hello, my name is St. Catherine of Siena. I was born on March 25th, 1347. I was one of 25 children. I actually had a twin, but she died at childbirth. I can be a great role model for everybody in the world. When I was 16 years old, I was told I needed to marry my sister's husband, and I was not pleased, so I decided to cut my hair and start fasting to make my parents not happy. It worked. So I rejoined my family, but later I decided to isolate myself from them. When I was 21 years old, I had a vision. In my vision, I was told that I needed to go out into the public and help the sick and the poor. So I rejoined my family, and I did that. Others started to join me in my mission. I got involved into politics. I helped people be loyal to the Pope. I stuck by the Pope and helped the Pope. I showed the life skill respect and the virtue caring. I showed the life skill respect by being kind to others and giving things to them of what they needed. I showed the virtue caring by giving them kindness rather than rudeness. I practiced the Catholic social teaching option for the poor and vulnerable. I did this as much as I could, and it became a habit for me. I died on April 29th, 1380. I died when I was done fasting, even though I tried, I couldn't eat anymore, and that is how I died. I was canonized in 1461. I am known as the Doctor of the Church. The Doctor of the Church means that they have written a lot of letters and writings. I have written 380 letters, 26 prayers, and 4 treaties. You can follow my example by being kind to others and giving kindness rather than rudeness and being kind.
Hello, my name is Saint Anne. I'm the mother of the Blessed Virgin Mary and the grandmother of Jesus Christ. Whenever I had problems or was worried, I always turned to God for help and guidance. I think I can be a role model for everyone. You can follow my examples to live a holy and faithful life. I was born in Jerusalem. My parents were Eliud and Ismaria. We were a very religious family, so we did religious practices. Since we were so religious, my parents sent me away to the temple in Jerusalem when I was about 4 years old. I prayed to God for a husband because it was the ancient law at the time. Then, when I was 18 years old, I married Saint Joachim. Soon after, the angel Gabriel came down to announce to us that we were going to be parents of an immaculate child. We were blessed with the Virgin Mary. We dedicated the Virgin Mary to God because He blessed us with her. Over time, I married 3 men and gave birth to 3 different children. I named each of the children Mary. After the first Mary was born, I gave her to the temple in Jerusalem, just like how my parents did to me. We are also a very religious family as well. I was canonized a saint in 1584. I share my feast day with Saint Joachim on July 26th. I didn't perform any miracles in my lifetime, but I am considered a saint because I'm the mother of the Blessed Virgin Mary and the grandmother of Jesus Christ. I'm the patron saint of housewives, women in labor, cabinet makers, and miners. I performed many Catholic social teachings, virtues, and life skills in my life. The Catholic social teaching I practiced was the cult of family, community, and participation. I practiced this by teaching Mary the Hebrew Scriptures. I also practiced the the life skill patience by waiting for Jesus to answer my prayers. Finally, I practiced compassion. I practiced the virtue compassion by teaching Mary and helping her learn. Now you can see how I'm a role model for everyone. You can follow my examples to live a holy life. For example, you can use the virtue compassion to help others in need or if they're struggling. You can also pray to God every night. You can use my examples to build a better relationship with God and live a better life.
Hello, my name is Saint Michael the Archangel. I am most known for defeating the devil, also known as Satan. I have 4 main purposes to fulfill. 1. Fight Satan. 2. Escort the faithful to heaven in their last hour. 3. Be the champion of Christians. And 4. Lead people to their heavenly judgment. My feast day is September 29th. I have appeared a few times to humans, from just a regular man to people like Moses, Abraham, and Joseph. One time in 590 AD, a plague had struck Rome. Pope St. Gregory the Great was marching through the streets asking for forgiveness. I appeared among him and sheathed my sword. This was a sign that the plague had ended. At once it went away and everybody who had it was cured. This was not the last time I would give forgiveness to humans. Another time, a man had been shooting a poisoned arrow at a bull, but the arrow came back and hit him. The man was startled by this and went to the bishop immediately. The bishop ordered penance and fasting. I appeared to the bishop later and told him he had done good, asking for what God did not know. I told him to build a shrine/church at the place where the bull was grazing, for that was a holy place. He probably had a little trouble since it was a place of pagan worship. I became a saint before the canonization process began, and a prayer was made about me by Pope Leo XIII in 1889. I followed the Catholic social teaching solidarity because I worked with all the other archangels to defeat the devil. I practice virtue responsibility because I have all the tasks to complete, and I practice the life skill courage because I fought the devil himself. You can follow my example by standing up for what you know is right and for other people, even if it can mean defeat upon yourself. You can say my prayer every day to protect the people around you. Thank you for watching. Hello, I am St. Pope John Paul II, and I was born in Wadowice, Poland in 1920. I had my parents and my brother only in my life, and they died very early on in my life. When my dad finally died in 1941, I graduated school and wanted to become a priest. In middle of my studies, World War II came around, and I hid from being deported in a chemical factory. After World War II, the school opened back up, and I was able to finish my studies. When I became a priest, I was immediately deported to Rome, and I was such a great priest. I was easily recognized and promoted to bishop, archbishop, a cardinal, and then finally the pope. I became pope in 1978. I visited almost every single country I could to help others and spread the word of God. In Portugal, I was shot by Mehmet Ali Agca, and I was rushed to the hospital. They caught him and sent him to prison, and I recovered fully in the hospital. After I got out of the hospital, I took the bullet and went to Mehmet Ali Agca. I spoke to him for 2 hours in the prison. I went to Mary's Crown in Portugal, where the memorial is, where she appeared to the 3 kids, and put the bullet in her crown. I died in 2005 after complications with the flu. I was beatified for a medical miracle, and I was canonized for establishing another Vatican Council. I studied the Catholic social teaching of rights and responsibilities by not stepping out of anyone, or by not disrespecting anyone or what they had to do. I studied the Virtue Initiative by me taking the initiative to establish another Vatican Council, and I studied the life skill of courage, because even though I had the threat to be killed or tortured, I went to almost every single country that I could to spread the word of God. That is why you should follow my example.
Hello, my name is Joan. You may know me as St. Joan of Arc. I was born on January 6, 1412 on the borders of Domremy near the province of Lorraine. My parents were tenant farmers. When I was 13 years old, I was approached by 3 angels. They were St. Michael, St. Catherine, and St. Margaret. They told me to warn my fellow Frenchmen to get the English out of the French territory. 3 years later, when I was 16, that's exactly what I did. I went to the army to try and join. I was not accepted because I was a woman and because I was 16. When I was 17 years old, I went back, and I pretended to be a boy. I was accepted. For 2 years straight, I did exactly what I was told. I got the English out of the French territory and protected the king as best as I could. But unfortunately, I was accused of crimes that I did not commit, such as being a heretic. I was burned at the stake at age 19 on May 30th, 1431. The Catholic social teachings that I followed were rights and responsibilities. I had the right to fight the war, and I had the responsibility to serve France in any way I could. The life skill that I had was perseverance, because I had to persevere through my life while being a woman and a soldier. I had the virtue of courage because I never strayed from God, and I was not scared to die, even if I was only 19. The way you can follow my example is that you trust God in any way you can, and that you follow what the people tell you to do. So, such as your teacher tells you to do an assignment, you do it, and you don't lie about it.
Hello, my name is St. Francis of Assisi, and I'm one of the most popular saints in the world, but I never started off as a holy man. I was born in Umbria of Assisi in the year of 1181, where my father, Pietro Bernardone, made me have no interest in religion. I was living a good life because he was a rich merchant that had a lot of money. When I became the age to make my own decisions, my father wanted to be a merchant like him, but I chose to become a knight because I wanted to win the respect of others. After I became a knight, I was lightheaded at the time, so I went to war with the neighboring civilization on my own. I didn't want any help. After I went to war with them, I obviously was defeated really easily, and they kept me captive for a year. After this year, when they took me out, they took me back. Everyone in the village where I was living in told me not to do it again, but I didn't want to do this because I thought if I did this, I'd be hurting my pride. So I went again, but this time, before going, I saw a vision of Jesus telling me to turn back. I never believed in God, but this feeling was too hard to ignore. So I turned back, but by doing this, everyone where I lived called me a coward because I didn't go, and even my father didn't defend me. So I would weep, and I would go to a cave, and I'd pray every single day. Soon I developed a strong relationship with God, but then my father found out, and he didn't like it very much, so he gave me an option to either stay Christian but leave the house, or I can stay, but I have to leave Christianity. And I knew I had to put God first, so I left, and after I left, I had little money, but I used that money to donate to the poor. After I donated to the poor, I was following the Catholic social teaching of the option of the poor and vulnerable. The option for the poor and vulnerable is like giving small donations to the poor and sheltering those weaker than you. After I did this, I also got the virtue of compassion. The virtue of compassion is sympathizing with other people. Like I did when I gave away all my money. I wanted to sympathize with the people I was helping. After this, I found an order to help people that were poor and vulnerable. And after I did this, I started feeling sick, and I realized that I had a life-threatening illness. People from my order told me to just take a break and go see a trained professional to help cure me. I could have done this, but I chose not to. By doing this, I followed the life skill of courage. The life skill of courage is showing bravery to something that you and most other people fear. I didn't fear death, and I knew that I would keep preaching, and even if it killed me. After I kept preaching, eventually, I kept preaching over and over again, and eventually I died. Once I died in the year of 1226, the church recognized my actions 2 years later, and I was canonized a saint. I was named the patron saint of animals because I love them. And after this, and you can follow, and St. Francis of Assisi is a good role model because he showed people how to live good lives by following the Catholic social teachings like he did of the option of the poor and vulnerable, and showing and being courageous in our lives to things that are harmful to others. You can follow his example by going to being a faithful Christian, like going to church every single Sunday, or by just spreading the word of God and doing it courageously and with perseverance. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is St. Padre Pio. I was born May 25th, 1887 in Pietrelcina, Italy. My parents were peasant farmers, so we didn't have much money. I have one brother and 3 younger sisters. I attended daily mass and served as an altar boy. I found out that I have an ability that allows me to see and speak with angels, Jesus, and Mary. At the age of 15, I joined the Capuchin Friars. When I was with the Friars, I took the name Pio in order to honor St. Pius I. I also was one of the monks claimed to see me levitate. And also while I was with the Friars, I got very sick and could only digest milk and cheese. With World War I going on, I was drafted for medical service. But because of my poor health, I was sent home until needed. My health got worse, so I was never called upon. I was hearing mass at my local church. I was hearing confessions at my local church when I felt a sharp pain in my side, hands, and feet. I realized that I've been given the stigmata, or the wounds of Christ. I performed many miracles in my life. One was I wrestled the devil in my sleep, and the other I cured an 11-year-old boy from a coma. I followed a few different life skills, Catholic social teaching, and virtues. There are a few in particular I was good at. My Catholic social teaching was option for the poor and vulnerable. I would always help the poor and stand for their rights. I practiced the Catholic virtue of justice. I would always treat others with justice, even when others weren't. And my life skill was responsibility. I'd always take responsibility for my actions, even if I did something wrong. You can follow my example by taking your responsibility, helping the poor, and treating others with fair and with justice. Yeah.
My name is Saint Elizabeth of Hungary, also known as Saint Elizabeth of Thuringia. I was born on July 7, 1207 to the Hungarian king Andrew II and Gertrude of Moravia. I'm the patroness of Catholic Charities and of the Franciscan Order. When I was an infant, my mother sent me to Germany to assure my loyalty and acceptance with the locals. I chose a life of simplicity and penance, even though I could have had a life of luxury. I was very smart, had a good education, and went to penance regularly. I often gave money to the poor. When I was 14, my father wanted me to marry Ludwig IV, so I did. He was very devoted to God and wanted to live like God, just like me. We had 3 children. When he died, he left me a widow at age 20.
Such as being born without original sin.
My husband's family threw me out of the castle because they thought I was giving too much money to the poor. But my son, who was the heir of the throne, brought me back. In 1228, I joined the Third Order of St. Francis. I also built a hospital.
By watching my son die and being very hopeful, I've practiced hope by saying yes to God's plan.
I wanted to live my life mirroring St. Francis of Assisi. I was canonized by Pope Gregory IX in 1235. My ceremony was on Pentecost, May 28, 1235. The Pope commanded 3 examinations that were held on August 12, 1232, January 1233, and January 1235. I was called the greatest woman of German Middle Ages. My feast day is November 17th. One life skill, virtue, and Catholic social teaching that I practiced was option for the poor and vulnerable, compassion, and empathy. I showed love. I gave it to those who are in need. It is up to us to reach out to people who are in need, just as I did years ago.
Hello, I'm Saint Mary, the Mother of God and the patron saint of all humanity. I was born in a little town in Israel in about 18 BC. My parents are Saint Anne and Jacques. I have a sister but no other siblings. When I was 12, I was to have the Son of God, and I also was to be married to Joseph. While me and Joseph got married, we were sentenced to go to Nazareth, his hometown, because of the sentence. I soon had baby Jesus in my arms. While my son grew older, we had found that he was not with us when we were on our trip home from the temple. We went back and we saw him preaching and answering questions to some of the answers that the adults didn't know. At that moment, I really knew he was the Son of God. While my son grew older, he was sentenced to death, and I walked with him the whole time and made sure he was okay. I also watched him die. 3 days later, me and 2 other women walked over to put incense in his tomb. We saw that the stone had been moved. We got very scared and shocked. I heard my son's voice and I felt relieved. Little did I know that he was going to depart from me 3 days later and ascend into heaven. I also ascended into heaven 11 years later after he died. Though I did not die a gory death, I was just canonized in the year of 1950 by Pope Pius XII. The reason I was just canonized was because canonization was not known when I ascended into heaven, though I have many reasons to become a saint, such as saying yes to God's plan of becoming the mother of Jesus and being born without original sin. I have followed many life skills, virtues, and Catholic social teachings, such as life and dignity of the human person, by showing respect and caring for all people, courage by walking with my son and watching him die on the cross, and finally hope. I hope to my God that he would have a plan for me and my son. You can follow my example by living a holy life and caring for others and putting them first. I hope you too can follow my example to get closer to God.
Hi, I'm St. Patrick. I'm one of the most popular saints. When I was my feast day is March 17th, and I'm the patron saint of Ireland. I was born in 1421 AD. I had six sisters and 2 brothers. When I was about 14 years old, I was kidnapped by Irish pirates and taken to Ireland to herd 10 sheep. With some of my brothers and sisters, I had a dream from God to go back to Ireland. Go back to Britain. So I traveled very far to the coast where I convinced sailors to bring me back to Britain. In Britain, I became a priest and a cardinal. I felt a calling back to Ireland, so I went back to Ireland and spread Christianity around all of Ireland and started the first church. I showed courage for going back to where I was just a slave in. I showed call to family, community, and participation by starting the first church in Ireland, and I showed dedication to spread Christianity around all of Ireland. You can follow my example by going to church every Sunday and praying every day. Most popular legend about me is I used the Holy Trinity I used a shamrock to show the Holy Trinity. The second most popular legend is I got all the snakes out of Ireland. Lastly, another legend is that I raised 33 people from the dead.
Hello, my name is St. Joseph of Cupertino. I was born on June 17, 1603 in Cupertino, Italy. At a young age, I loved prayer and started having ecstatic visions. Sadly, my mother considered me a nuisance and treated me harshly. When I was about 17 years old, I tried to join the Franciscan Friars Minor Conventual, but was rejected on account of my stupidity. Then I tried making shoes, but I also failed at that because of my stupidity. Eventually, my mother got me accepted as a Franciscan. After they saw all the good virtues I showed, they accepted me into priesthood. One day while I was praying, I started levitating. This was only the first of 70 times though. I soon became known as the Flying Saint. Sadly, I started getting transferred more often. Wherever I was transferred to, I would pray, fast, and sometimes even wear chains. I died on September 18, 1663 due to unknown causes. My body can be found at the Church of Hospital. I was beatified on February 24th, 1753. You can follow my example by and never losing it. I followed the life skill of perseverance because I persevered to get a career. I followed the Catholic social teaching of rights and responsibilities because I always did my work, even if I was bad at it, and stuck up for my right to decency. That's it.
My name is St. Peter. I was born in Bethesda, Israel. My birth name was Simon. I had one brother, his name was Andrew. I was one of the 12 apostles of Jesus along with my brother Andrew. Once I became an apostle, Jesus gave me the name of Cephas. Once Jesus died, I was elected the leader of the apostles and led them in preaching and extending the church. Because of this, I was arrested. And when I was in jail, an angel appeared to me. And when this happened, the chains fell off my wrist and I was free. I died in the year of 64. I'm considered a martyr because I died for my faith. I practiced many Catholic social teachings, virtues, and life skills in my lifetime. Catholic social teaching I practiced was solidarity. The reason why is because I united all the apostles and kept them together after Jesus died. A virtue I practiced was courage. I was courageous because I led the apostles in preaching, even though I knew people would not always agree with me. A life skill I practiced was responsibility. The reason I was responsible is because it was my job to keep the apostles united and together, and I did that. You can be like me by becoming a saint, and you can be like me and become a saint by practicing Catholic social teachings, virtues, and life skills in your lifetime, and helping others.
My name is Saint Sebastian. I was born in Gaul, a part of ancient Europe, then soon moved to Rome. I joined the army and helped many Christians. I was the personal bodyguard for the emperor, but when he found out I was a Christian, he ordered me to die by shooting me with lots of arrows. He failed, so I came back and told him to stop killing people who believe in God. He beat me until I died and threw me in the sewer. This is my biography. Since I was killed for being a Christian, I was considered a martyr. Martyrs are people who die rather than give up their faith in God, and they almost always become saints. After I was martyred, the city of Rome constantly prayed to me, and I protected them from a deadly disease in Europe called Black Death, or the bubonic plague. I followed many Catholic social teachings, life skills, and virtues of the Church. First, I showed initiative when I stood up for Christians and told the emperor to stop killing them. Second, I showed option for the poor and vulnerable when I helped 2 bishops who were arrested for their faith. Finally, I showed courage when I did not give up my faith after the emperor threatened to kill me. You can follow my example by doing these things. I became a saint for these reasons. And most importantly, you can follow my example by doing what's right, no matter the consequences. This is how you can follow my example, living a good and holy life.
Hello, my name is St. Ignatius. I was born in 1491 in Azbatia, Spain. When I was 7 years old, my mother died. When I was 18 years old, I went to war. In war, I was shot with a cannonball. I fractured my left leg and shattered my right. After that, I went to college at 33 years old. In college, I studied basic language and science subjects. I created the spiritual exercises booklet. The spiritual exercises booklet helps you pray and come closer to God. After that, me and my friend St. Francis Xavier founded the Jesuits, or the Society of Jesus order. The Jesuits order is one of the biggest religious orders in the world. The Jesuits help you come closer to God and follow His ways. The Jesuits wear black clothing and occasionally a black hat. I died in 1556, and I was beatified by Pope Paul III on July 7th, 1609, and I was canonized a saint by Pope Gregory XV in 1611. I followed Catholic social teachings, life skills, and virtues. The way I followed them was by living out God's word and speaking out against all other words against God. You can follow my example by living out God's word and speaking towards His ways.
My name is Saint Teresa of Calcutta, but I'm mostly known as Mother Teresa. I was born August 10th, 1910, and I was baptized August 27th. When I was 5, I made my first communion. I was very young at the time. When I was 8, my father died. Sadly, I led my family into financial straits. I grew up in the Roman Catholic Church. From that point on, I decided I wanted to dedicate my life to God. When I turned 18, I joined the missionaries of India to become a missionary. I made my first profession vows and my last profession vows there. I taught at St. Mary's School for 20 years. I was given the name St. Mary Teresa. I was also named I was named after St. Teresa of Lisieux. I was later on given the name Mother Teresa. I began the Missionaries of Charity to help all the infants who are in need. I help the poor, and I remember hearing, that's the woman who changed my life. That's the woman who changed the world. It always made my day light up. I died September 5th, 1997, and I was canonized September 5th, 2016. My feast day is September 5th. I'm the patron saint of World Youth Day, and you can follow my example by helping others in need and never giving up on God when life is tough. Thank you.
My name is Saint Raphael. I was never born, but I did visit my friends. My name is Saint Raphael, but I have many other nicknames, such as Angel of the Sun and Angel of Science and Knowledge. My name also means it is God who heals. People pray to me when they need healing or someone close to them needs healing. I went to Earth to help Toba and cure him of his blindness. I used ointments to cure his blindness. These ointments were made from fish. I also use good Catholic social teachings. The main one I use is solidarity of the human person. I show this by caring for people and respecting each and every one. I also use good life skills. These life skills are caring and courage. I use these by showing my love for people and staying with them in these hard times of healing. You can follow my example by praying for people and respecting each and every person. My name is Saint Raphael, and this is my story.
Hi, I'm St. Martin of Tours. I was born in Savaria, Pannonia. At the age of 10, I was baptized Christian, even though my parents were a different religion. I grew up in Pavia, Italy, where my father was stationed in the Roman army. At age 18, I also joined the Roman army. I became the 3rd Bishop of Tours in 371 AD. I am the patron saint of horse riding, the poor, soldiers, and tailors. My feast day is November 11th. I died in 397 AD. I'm a role model for the Catholic social teaching of option for the poor and vulnerable, because by kissing a leper I cured him of his disease. I am a role model for the virtue of compassion, because I like helping others. And finally, I'm a role model for the life skill of caring, because I care for God, others, and myself. You can follow my example by being kind to others and by spreading the word of Christ to all.
Hello, my name is St. Claire of Assisi, and I'm the patron saint of helping the poor and vulnerable. My parents are Fabron and Ortolona, and I have one sister, Agnes. I learned how to read and write at a young age, and I was in a wealthy family. My dad forced me to marry this rich man, but I refused. Later on, I ran away from home, and I decided to go to this poor little chapel called the Porticuna, where I met St. Francis of Assisi. As I was doing my mission, my sister Agnes joined me, and we saw poor ladies on the ground. They were hungry and barefoot, and I decided to help them by them becoming nuns at the church. As I was doing this, I got really sick, and I still managed to help them become nuns at the church, and after I did this, we were known as the Poor Clares. I was canonized on September 26th, 1255, and I practice the Catholic social teaching, rights and responsibilities of the human person by showing kindness and caring for the poor and vulnerable. You can do this by showing kindness and caring for the poor and vulnerable. That's it.
Hello, I am Saint Joseph. I am the stepfather of Jesus. I am a holy Jewish man, and I trust in God, even during my struggles. We do not know much about my early life. However, we do know that my father was named Jacob, and I am the third of 6 brothers. After I married Mary, I found out that she was already pregnant, and I wanted to silently divorce her. However, an angel came to me, telling me that the baby was conceived through the Holy Spirit. This resulted in me dropping the divorce. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem, an angel came to me. This angel alerted Mary and I about King Herod and what he would do to Jesus. From this, I took Mary and Jesus to Egypt. After this, the angel visited me again. This time, the angel told me that King Herod had died and that we should move back to Israel. We avoided Bethlehem and we settled in Nazareth. I was proclaimed patron of the Universal Church by Pope Pius IX. I am the patron saint of Mexico, Canada, and Belgium. After the apostolic letter called Patris Corde, which translates to With a Father's Heart, Pope Francis declared the year of Saint Joseph to be from December 8, 2020 to December 8, 2021. I followed the Catholic social teaching of licenseless responsibilities because I followed the angel that came to me in my dreams, telling me to name my stepson Jesus. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem, an angel came to me. This angel told me that King Herod would kill Jesus. From this, I made major changes in my life to protect Mary and Jesus. I eventually settled my family in Nazareth. From this, I can conclude that I followed a life skill of flexibility. After Jesus was born, I had to move my family multiple times. I was afraid to make such big changes to my life with a baby, a son of God nonetheless. Courage is being able to face danger, difficulty, fear, and uncertainty without letting fear get the better of you. I embody this Catholic virtue by facing my fears and doubts when the angel directs me to do something. One way we can follow my example is by demonstrating the Catholic virtue of courage. I showed courage and fought against any struggles I had in my life. I always remained faithful to God. I also followed the life skill of flexibility. I did this by making changes to my life to protect Jesus and Mary. Finally, I followed the Catholic social teaching of rights and responsibilities by following the angel that came to me in my dreams, telling me to name my stepson Jesus. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Francis Xavier and I'm one of the founders of the Jesuit. I traveled to Japan, China, India, and the Philippines to help the Portuguese soldiers that were losing faith in God. I was born April 6th in 1506 in the Kingdom of Navarre. I was surrounded by war most of my childhood because Navarre was a target for King Ferdinand.
Hi.
After the war, I went to study at the University of Paris, and there I was very influenced by St. Ignatius of Loyola to become priest. 3 years later, I got my master's degree in philology, and I started teaching at the University of Paris. 7 years later, I was ordained, and I started the study of theology. A year after that, me and my friends made a vow to poverty, chastity, and obedience. After that, a year later, me and my friends were sent to help people in India turn to Christ. And every night in India, I'd ring a bell and I'd gather all the children and tell them about God. 3 years later, I went to Malaysia and I taught people about God and I met a man that gave me some information about Japan. And 3 years after preaching in Malaysia, I went to Japan, and for a whole year in Japan I had to study the Japan language, and then for about 18 months I preached in Japan. After that, I went back to India for 3 years, and I died of a sickness. In 1619, I was beatified by Pope Paul the 15th, and in 1622, I was canonized by Pope Gregory II. And I was canonized at the same ceremony that Ignatius of Loyola was. I followed the Catholic social teaching, poor and vulnerable, by helping people in the poor countries learn about God. I also showed the virtue compassion for helping those in poor countries and helping them learn about God and become better Christians. I also showed caring for those in poor countries and help them. You can follow my example by praying for those in poor countries and helping those in poor countries if you can. Thank you.